This is Optimal Living Daily episode 2339, How to Write a Life List, Part 1 by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Today I have a bit of a longer post. I'll read the first half today and then finish the rest for you tomorrow. So with that, let's get right to Part 1 and continue optimizing your life. How to Write a Life List, Part 1 by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com. What if we could come to the end of our lives with true fulfillment, looking back on a rich history of experiences, relationships, and accomplishments? Either metaphorically or literally, we could point to a list of steadily pursued dreams that turned into accomplished goals as we moved through different phases of life. The sad alternative, of course, is to come to the end of life unfulfilled. Something best phrased in this intense quote from Thoreau I've been pondering a lot recently. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with their song still in them, end quote. I don't usually like to assume, but in this case, I'm going to assume you don't want that. If so, one of the ways we can overcome the quiet desperation is by clearly identifying the activities that help us to be more alive. In other words, writing a life list can help us to live. This article will show you how to do it. What's a life list? A life list is simply a list of long-term personal goals, often expressed as X things to do before I die. Life lists are related to, but also different from the ideal world scenario, the annual review, and your ongoing list of active projects. These lists have become fairly common due to the popularity of the website 43 Things. On this site, users create and share a personal list of 43 things they want to do. You've probably seen some of these lists around the internet. If not, the site is at least worth a quick look. While I appreciate any resource that gets people thinking about goal setting, I'd also say that 43 Things is a light version of goal setting. This is not really a criticism of its design. It's just a reflection of the way most people use it to think about their goals. Because it's so easy to set up and add goals that other people have chosen, you can literally set up your life list in 5 minutes. My philosophy is that goal setting is not a casual practice. I intend to actually complete the goals I set, so I want to spend more than 5 minutes writing them down. If you agree and want to go further with building your own life list, keep listening. Why have a life list? You don't need a life list, but if you're struggling with direction or just want to be open to personal growth, a life list can definitely help. A good life list is an anchor. It grounds you in your purpose, gives you hopes and dreams for the future, and helps you understand more about yourself. There's no right or wrong way to make this kind of list. You simply devote an hour or however long it takes you to thinking about your life. What do you want to do, to have, to be? Again, there isn't one way to do this, but it may help you to examine or revisit a few key concepts about lifestyle design. What goes on the list? Many of the goals chosen by 43 Things users are fuzzy or representative of general desires instead of passions to pursue. Some of them are essentially desire habits rather than goals. Drink more water, for example, is a good habit, but not necessarily something that should appear on a life list. Here are a few vague, non-measurable goals, all taken from the 43 Things site. Travel the world, be happy, eat healthier, be in shape, have better posture, save money, make new friends. In addition to being vague, you can probably see a trend there. All of them are aspirational goals related to personal well-being. I'll hold that thought and we'll come back to it in a moment. On the other hand, here are a few measurable goals, also taken from 43 Things users, which shows that not everyone follows the crowd. Meet the Dalai Lama, become an ordained minister, see the Northern Lights, go on a road trip with no predetermined destination, learn American Sign Language. Think realistic big and discard fear. As you compose your own life list, remember that the basic rule of brainstorming is don't limit yourself. You should also avoid thinking about your present situation. This is your whole life list. It's meant to be something you work on and refer to for your whole life. In other words, throw out realism, or more precisely, what you initially think of as realism. As you go through the journey over a long period of time, you may very well find that what you thought was reality was actually quite limiting. As much as possible, you should also throw out fear when you write your life list. The fear of failure and even the fear of success holds us back from attempting many of the things we secretly wish for. In the practice of actually achieving goals, it takes some time to work through this, but you can start by blocking the fear from entering your life list. If you have to, just tell yourself it's only a list. Adventure versus non-adventure goals. Hear that on tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, How to Write a Life List by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com. Thank you to Chris. I'll finish the rest for you in tomorrow's episode. Earlier in the week, we heard an article from Andrew James talking about bucket lists, but how they can keep us stuck in a way. Sort of by definition, bucket lists are those things that we'd like to do someday and often stays on that list. Andrew's point was that we could be making progress by doing those things right now. And while he has a good point, it likely applies to the examples that Chris first mentioned in this post, like eat healthier, drink more water, have better posture, make new friends. Those are things we could be working on every day here and there. Probably not best for a bucket list, but often what we first think about when we create this kind of list. Chris instead showed really good examples of things that could make it onto the list, like seeing the Northern Lights or learning sign language. And tomorrow we'll dive a bit deeper into this. So with that, thank you for being here and listening every day, including the weekends. And I'll be back tomorrow to finish up this post where your optimal life awaits.